Hi, welcome to Shimeen's Business. You start something of your own, and then you run it very successfully for many years, and then you have to close it down. Do you look at it as failure, or do you look at it as something that just happens and you move on with a lot of learnings, of course? My guest today is Sandhya, who ran a very popular decor store called Sanctum in Mumbai, and I was a huge customer, a very regular customer, and she actually closed it down a couple of years ago. I'm going to talk to her today about her journey and what it felt like and what she is doing now. Hi Sandhya.
Hi Dipika, lovely to be here. I'm very
Thank
excited.
you so much. Welcome to Shimi's Business.
Thank you so much.
So first tell me a little bit more about what you've done, like what you studied, etc. So who are you?
Wow. Okay. Well, I graduated from the National Law School of India, Bangalore, more than 20 years ago actually.
Okay.
I also had, I think, many passions, many interests. So I used the last 20 years to explore many of them. I was in theatre, I was a radio jockey, I was in management, I was in Web
Wow.
1.0, in content and technology, which continue to be loves of mine even today. I was in art, and for the last 9 years, I've been in retail. I've been a writer and a voiceover artist as well. Blah blah blah.
Okay, so we'll come to one of those. We'll come to Sanctum. So tell me a little bit about Sanctum, how it started and what was it all about?
Sure. I got into retail with my first brand, which was a Delhi-based brand that I brought into India, that I brought into Mumbai, sorry, and I brought it in partnership. While I was exploring the whole retail market and understanding how to go about it in India, what the pitfalls were and how to crack it, felt that there was a gap in the market for nice design-led but not overpriced, design-led but not designer-priced furniture and home decor, something that was a little contemporary but inspired by India.
Okay.
And that's how the idea of Sanctum came about. I just went ahead and took the leap. I by then started developing relationships with vendors. I kind of understood how to do the whole, looking for space and doing it up really
Yeah.
quickly. You kind of know the things that you should not be spending too much money or time on, and where you need to be focusing. That's really how Sanctum came about. My vision was to create like a contemporary chain of stores, home decor stores, sort of like an Indian pottery barn, if you may, with very interesting design stories, inspired from India, inspired from other parts of the world, but very uniquely us, very uniquely Sanctum. And Sanctum itself meant like your safe, happy space. So the idea was, to surround yourself with things that you loved. It's not so much to be showy or ostentatious, but just to create a space that defined you, that was uniquely you in this mad chaos that was outside.
And you ran it for how many years?
Close to 6 years actually.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
2011 to 2017.
It was a very popular store. I saw a lot of visibility, I saw a lot of coverage, and obviously it did well for 6 years. Then what happened?
Well, okay. Popularity, visibility are definitely some things that we were blessed to have. We did this with no marketing budgets. It was just that, again, we had stories to tell and we found interesting venues to tell them. And you know how they say, right, when you're desperate, you can get really creative. So that was that part of it. But in terms of a business itself, I'll be very honest, it was while we were not bleeding money, it was like we were running to just stay in the same place, right? It's one thing if you have like your first year where you're not able to make rents and stuff. I got lucky in that we were starting to make enough money that rents and salaries we could make. But if by year 3 you're still struggling to do that, costs go up, by then you want to start investing in design, you want to start investing in your store will need to be redone up, things like that. All of these start hitting you beyond a point. You need increased warehousing, your customers want more services, free deliveries, things like that. All these start hitting you after a while. For me, I would have happily stayed in that place. I didn't mind the struggle of it if I saw a bigger play at the end of it, right? For me, this was not going to be like my passion project where I had this boutique and I filled it with things that I loved. It was not that. I had a very clear vision. We needed to build a team. We were going to create design stories, get things manufactured, get sourcing from the best of India. All of this required, I think, a lot more deep pockets, one that I had access to. Two, I think I was overly optimistic about just how much I could organize the market, right? The furniture and home decor market in India is very disorganized. That's a well-known fact. But I was, I think, very idealistic. I thought, you know what, I'm a lawyer, I've been in management, let me go in there and let me try and organize it myself. To that extent, I became a part of the Furniture Traders and Manufacturers Association, and I was constantly talking to them about bringing on board more and more of the traditional handicraft manufacturers, about getting more organized with supply chain, timelines, deliverability, accountability. But I think we're still a good 3 to 5 years away from any kind of organization in this sector.
And did online sort of,
Yeah.
how did that affect?
Did video kill the radio star kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yes and no. Again, very, very frankly speaking, I was very clear that for me, online was a necessary extension of my brand. I saw it very seamlessly, right? For me, there was going to be no difference between the consumer experience as far as the physical store and the online store was. But the cost of the online experience was not something a small brand like me could completely absorb, right? Could I offer free deliveries all over India? Not someone like me. Could I afford for returns to happen and I pay for the return, and or a damage that happens in transit? How are you going to absorb that cost? I wasn't at a point where I could absorb that cost. On the other hand, online coming in was actually great for me because it created a market. Home decor as a category didn't really exist in India. You had one or two brands that had, as an extension of their clothing line, they'd also have like a small home decor sector. And then if you see by 2013 or so, it just started booming, right? All the big names came in. Suddenly there was this virgin sector that was untapped. The concept of going to a home store and buying something was getting new. I mean, home store, I meant online or physically as well. So it created the category for me. I myself could have put my products on there, but again, there were a lot of limitations, right? The amount of quantities with which I manufactured, what I was willing to absorb in terms of damages, in terms of return costs. It's a sort of fine tuning that for a lot of small retailers like me, it was a cost too high for us, and perhaps we were a little ahead of time for this sector in that sense.
So clearly, offline retail is facing a challenge.
Definitely,
it is facing
everywhere across all sectors. Yes.
So when you decided to sort of close it down, did you at any point look at it as failure, or did you say that no, these are learnings, and were you matter of fact about it? How did it affect you?
Okay, how did it affect me is a little different from what
How did you?
I will come to both. I actually spent a lot of time trying to when I got a sense that, you know what, I'm not doing something right. This shouldn't be this much of a struggle. What am I not seeing in this picture? And and I started going out and speaking to a lot of people, and I realized that what it would take for me to actually be able to grow this brand, which would mean that I would need to invest in my own manufacturing, invest in huge amounts of warehousing, infrastructure, and of course the retail costs, right, which would go up as well. And then the teams that I would need to set in place for all of that. I realized that I had done so many experiments, over the last 6 years, and I didn't have the wherewithal at this point in my life to do more experiments for another 3 years or whatever it would take to get that mix right. The day the penny dropped, I still remember it was a Friday, and I said, oh my God, I'm going to have to shut this down or sell this off to somebody. And that weekend I was devastated because you put your heart and soul into this. It's time away from my family. There are days when you're just traveling all the time to not very glamorous cities of India, but all of it is worth it because you have this vision that you want to create. The day that you realize that, wow, you know what, I'm not in the right place, I don't have the right infrastructure, I don't have the right support system in order to do this. Yes, it was devastating, but the Monday morning I began the process of dismantling, trying to sell off, trying to, I mean, and then I was just a robot. To me, I said, this is the best thing I can do for this business. It's like a child that you have to send off to college, right? You'd love to keep the child with you in your house and, you know, wake up to a cuddle every morning, but you know you have to let it go, and that's the best thing for the process. So
I think that's a wonderful thing to do, because you can't just hold on to it and then bleed in the process.
yeah,
And then you have people to pay, you know, salaries and your vendors.
absolutely.
It's just to let
Absolutely.
go.
And,
It's
and to
good.
your question about whether I see this as failure, I mean, I often joke that, you know, a failed entrepreneur is a valuable commodity. But seriously, in terms, I don't see this as failure. I think one of the key aspects of being a business owner or an entrepreneur is also knowing when you've got to let it go, right? Too many people I see hanging on to passion projects, or, you know, just out of ego, or what will people say, or who will I be if I'm not this. I was
Yeah.
Sanctum, right? To me, I didn't have an identity outside of that. But that's not true. Sanctum was a baby that we were creating, and this baby, its time had come. So it's time to sort of
Time to let go.
let it go. Let it go. No regrets.
Very nice.
I slept like a baby, and you know, it's huge. I have very fond memories, but not a single regret about it.
I always say something that doesn't make you grow and something that doesn't make you happy, it's time to let go.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
what do you do now?
Okay, having like sort of changed so many careers, and for me it was always that, you know, oh, this looks interesting, is this something I could do? And I would do it, right? That's, and opportunities have always come my way. For the first time in my life, I took like 6 months off just to think about what I wanted to do. I kept myself very busy during this time. I did a lot of testing, mid-career testing, you know, looked up coaches. I also used this time to kind of fix my house up. 10 years of running a home decor store, my own home was kind of collapsing. I kept myself really busy, but what all of this made me do was to just think about what direction I wanted my life to take. I realized that, one, I've always been passionate about science and wellness. My own parents are doctors. I myself have been really passionate about fitness, and I decided that, you know, I want to build my life and want to build my career in this area of wellness, fitness, and something that can really teach people holistically how to be fit, how to be well. And as a lawyer, again, I hope to be able to get involved with public policy and spread this message. We seem to have lost a lot of the best of what our culture had to offer in terms of being mindful, in terms of eating well, in terms of having a healthy life. Maybe I have a role to play in bringing all of that back and spreading that message. So now I work with an American fitness and wellness company. It's an online company. It's called Kenzai.com. I've brought the brand to India, and I'm hoping to spread that message.
So what is Kenzai all about?
Kenzai means sustained wellness. Okay, it's an online program that in 90 days will take you to the peak of your fitness. And this we do through very safe exercises that can be done anywhere. So it's meant for busy working people. You should be able to do these exercises in any place you are. And I myself have been doing Kenzai for 5.5 years. So I've done it like, you know, in a veranda in Moradabad, on a beach, you know, inside my hotel room, in my auntie's house, anywhere you can do the workouts. The nutrition is the very other important. 80% of any kind of wellness plan is nutrition. So understanding food, it's not about starvation, it's not about fad diets, it's not about eliminating food groups which are essential to your well-being. It's really knowing what to eat, when to eat, how much to eat. And again, you know, and also when you're at a wedding, when you're at a buffet, when you're at a working lunch, how do you make choices that are correct for you? Skilling and understanding that knowledge, we do that through training lessons. And how do you keep somebody on a program for 90 days? You know, we build this community, we have an accountability and support system. And once you're through with the 90 days, you're fully equipped to manage your fitness for life. But more importantly, there's a mental conditioning reorientation that happens. 90 days is a great time for habit building. This has now built a habit for life. That's the whole idea.
Sounds interesting. And you sound like someone who's, you know, sort of enjoying this now.
You know, sometimes there's sometimes when you kind of find your flow, it's no longer a struggle. I'm doing, I head sales and marketing for Kenzai in India. I'm an assistant trainer with Kenzai. I'm also skilling to be a business and life coach. But when you see that this is what brings all of your energies, and it's like you're slipstreaming it. You can just do it effortlessly. I live it, I breathe it, and
Okay.
I'm flying with it, I think.
That's really nice to hear. So I'm very happy about the fact that what we really wanted to talk about in this video was the fact that I was a customer at Sanctum, so even I know so this whole thing of actually having to shut down something which was very important to you,
Yes.
and then learning from it and moving on and shutting it down at the right time.
Yes.
That it's okay, it's
Yeah.
perfectly cool. That's what we wanted to talk about. Don't hang on to it because of an ego or because that's who you are,
Yeah.
and move on, and then maybe find something which you enjoy doing as much as you possibly did your first venture.
Yes.
Yeah. So I wish you all the best.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
and thank you so much for being on She Means Business and talking to our viewers.
I love your brand, so thank you for having
Thank
me.
you so much. And to all my viewers, till next time, stay tuned, stay happy, and stay focused.